everyone, and welcome to the Gamers on Gaming podcast brought to you by your hosts, Lotus.
And ShadyKnights.
Alright, not even a day after we made our last podcast about E3 and the console's major events and how they did, which included our unhappy feelings about Microsoft's choices, they decided to turn it around. And my bad, we changed our minds. Xbox One has taken back their DRM policies, their online connectivity requirements, and has said that they listened to your feedback. And thank you for your assistance in helping us reshape the future of Xbox One. While this has made many gamers excited, relieved, and with a feeling of triumph, ShadyKnights and I here became rather...
Oh. This is a family show, so I shall say perturbed.
unhappy.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
to put it nicely.
mm, mm. You know, oh, I don't know. You go first, boss. I'm like, ugh.
All of E3 week, I ended up feeling unhappy because of all the negativity and politics that were brought in about in all this DRM stuff and all the things that Microsoft presented and said that they would have in their console. It's become pretty ridiculous to me, and people aren't helping the fact, especially with how the internet works now and everybody can give their very opinionated craziness.
Yeah. I hate people. I love folks. I love y'all. I hate people in general. I hate them. They, every, you know, Microsoft was such jackasses to everybody. Not just so they were just so mean for no reason. They were just such assholes and so snide and snarky. I mean, you can get yourself Xbox One if you don't. You can get yourself Xbox 360 if it's not gonna be online. you know, why don't you come in the future? Don't you want to come in the future? Like we're all a bunch of damn chumps stuck in the Stone Ages. I don't appreciate that.
A
What?
future that they're deciding on.
Right. Last I checked, the young people determine the future, and you do not take them to the future. You give them an option, and they decide to take it or not. Um, when has becoming a consumer been? When is the consumer meant you're supposed to be a servant or a slave or a sheep? Why can't we decide what we want? Why is it that? Okay, this is why I don't like either Sony or Microsoft announcing their consoles the year it's coming out, because that means they don't give a damn about what anyone else says. Whatever they're going to put in this console, that's what's going in there. You can go straight to hell. They want their DRM, they're going to get their DRM. That's why they waited so long. That's why they didn't say anything about an Xbox One or a PS4, because they both knew DRM was not going to be taken in well, and they figured if they just told you the year of, you just say, well, that's the only thing I can get. I just get that. And now the people say, well, I just go to Sony, who also wants DRM, despite anything they said. All of a sudden, Microsoft, well, we hear what you're saying, but we'll take it back, friends. We're listening to you. Please pre-order our console too, please.
I think all they really heard was the future of their product sales.
That's all they did. They weren't listening to us. They were not. They were just looking at our wallets and seeing that the money inside of it was going somewhere and not in their direction. So they backpedaled, and they're going to backpedal again, or forward pedal, whatever you want to call it, as soon as they get as soon as they have a strong enough install base, as soon as they have enough saps who are just gonna stick with it, they're gonna enact the DRM. Sony's the same way. Don't think for a moment that Sony has been able. What did Sony say? I can't remember what they said. Like at first they said,
Third party
yeah,
companies get to choose or have the last say on DRM on their games.
yeah. So don't think for an instant that if a third party developer can have the last say on if you can buy, sell, or whatever kind of DRM they want in their games, that Sony didn't build the PS4 the same way that Microsoft built the Xbox One. It They took the patent out for a reason, people. They say that they're not going to use it or it's just for safety. That's absolute bull crap. They don't care about us. They just want our money. I don't appreciate that. I really don't. I feel insulted that Microsoft thinks that it can just, oh well, we're going to take away DRM and just like Sony did. We're friends now, right? And it's just supposed to it's supposed to just wash away how they've been acting for weeks now, for nearly a month.
Right, right. I felt absolutely the same way, completely insulted, and even more so whenever the turning around came in. It, no, you don't insult everyone in the gaming community and tell them basically, I don't care what you like or what you think, we're going to do our company our own way.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do that and then just say, oh, my bad, I guess you were right.
Whoopsie doodles.
It should have been a no-brainer that we're right.
You know, I, that was the I can't remember. That was the saying back in the olden days. The customer is always right. Even when we're wrong, we're right. Why? Because our money is going into it. So if we say that it's going to be raining on Tuesday, dadgummit, you bring out the hose and you make it rain. It's
Yep.
just basic intelligence. You know, frankly, I'm sick of all this DRM argument bullcrap that I hear from Sony, Microsoft, and the developers, all wanting to talk about this bullcrap about we need to protect the publishers. We need to make sure they get anything. Look, if you want people to not pirate your game, you have to make it easier for easier for people to acquire your games by legal means. You know, the reason the Xbox 360 was so easily pirated because it was easy to hack the Xbox 360. If you were willing to watch a couple of videos on YouTube, you could crack that thing open and do what you want with it. The reason the PS3 was easy to pirate after they finally found a way to pirate it, because it was easy, because they went all digital. They wanted to go all these extra super sideways means, make it a computer and everything in one, and when it blew up in their face, all of a sudden it's the consumer's fault. It's my fault a person who never pirated, who never hacked or modded his PlayStation 3. It's my fault that someone else did, so you have to take away features from my PlayStation 3. So you have to give me system updates for something I didn't do. And it makes me sick to my stomach that there are people who are fans of Sony who say that that's an okay thing to do. An old friend of mine was just talking about, well, it's the pirate's fault. What's the pirate doing? Ugh.
Yeah. In this case, definitely if those products are failing in that way, then it's completely the company's fault.
Yes. I mean, here's the thing. The systems can get hacked. That's just how it is. But it's hacked because of decisions that the company made. No one asked for DRM. No one asked for digital stuff in gaming, or at least not many people that I knew about asked for it. They were just okay with discs. In fact, they wanted Blu-ray discs because it was more. And if it's going to be digital now, then shouldn't that mean I would be getting bigger games because it's so big it can't even fit on a Blu-ray dual layer disc? No, They still want to make it the same length, the same amount, and charge you the same price for a physical disc, for a disc that is invisible. And I am so sick of people, well, I'm sorry, not invisible, for a disc that doesn't exist, for just program ones and zeros. And I'm so sick of people talking about the cloud as if it's some magical genie. It is just the internet, folks. That's all the cloud is. And I hate
Yeah.
these. I'm so sick of this with Microsoft. And that's all Microsoft was talking about. It's the cloud. Oh, we put everything in the cloud. What happens when the sun comes through and the cloud vanishes? What happens to my games? They didn't care enough about the consumer to answer those questions. But as soon as it looked like it was it was going to hurt their pocketbooks, all of a sudden, well, we heard your complaints. They haven't heard our complaints all month. Before E3, after E3, when idiots were talking about, well, you have to wait to E3 to see what it's going to do. Fools. And then you had people talking about, and then we waited to E3, and then Microsoft didn't even talk about it. They didn't have enough respect for their consumer, the people who they're asking to pay $500 for their console. They didn't have enough respect about them to make statements, to answer questions on stage. They didn't even do a round table after the conference. They bailed on that. They didn't have that base level of respect for the consumer, and you want me to be and they expect me to be excited, and idiots are actually excited for this. And I don't like being, Mr. Name Caller, calling people fools, idiots, and things like that. But really, there's something wrong with you when after you've just been beaten, just because they give you flowers, you go walking back to them. That is a mental problem, and you need help. Especially
Yeah.
when they beat you and you pay them.
I agree completely. It's not just all that. Yes, they really did avoid all questions and all concerns, and even then, even on camera, whenever they did answer anything, they were snarky, rude, dismissive, all on camera. And half the news out of E3 was all about their negative aspects, and now all of a sudden, oh, they took away the DRM. They really do care. No, they don't.
It was Gamer Christmas, and they didn't have the decency to put out cookies for Santa. They didn't have the decency to sing the carols with everyone else. All they were doing were being grumpy. I don't want to say Scrooges because, fine, they were being Scrooges. They were saying bah humbug. Sony was doing their thing and whatnot, even though it was completely two-faced. Microsoft was like, man, we're doing the future. People were like, well, can you explain this? Man, we're doing the future. Yeah, Nintendo was often doing their own little happy thing. Microsoft, we're doing the future. You're just not understanding. You're not understanding the value we're giving you by letting you pay only $500 for this. You're not understanding the value we're giving.
Then help us understand. But that's the thing. They didn't have anything to give us.
Nothing.
Because if they did, they would have been able to describe it, explain it, everything.
One would think. You would think that you would think that if you had a reason to do something, you could explain that reason.
Unless they thought that we were truly too stupid to understand.
You know what? I'll grant them this. I don't think that they believed that we were too stupid to understand the reason. I believe that they were worried that we were smart enough to know exactly why they were doing all that.
Yeah, probably.
Just for more money. That's it. Just wanted a couple extra bucks. And by a couple of extra bucks, I mean way more money than they deserve.
Yeah.
This is just really weird. I have never heard of an artist drawing something or painting something and then demanding that they keep getting paid for other people looking at it. Like, hey, you've been looking at this for about 5 minutes now. I think you should pay me more for it.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
I'm not if I buy a song online, I'm not charged for every single time I use it. I listen to it.
I guess one would argue that that's not what Sony was doing, but it equates to that, really. I mean, if Lotus bought a song and she wanted me to hear it, essentially Microsoft was saying that if she couldn't let me hear it, she couldn't send me the MP3 file and let me decide if I want to buy the CD or buy the song off iTunes myself. You know,
Yep.
I have to buy it just to hear either the clip that she wants me to hear or whatever, and that's stupid.
Mhm.
That is completely or if they didn't mean that, they didn't explain it in any other way. That's the only thing I got from
Mhm.
it.
Same with movies.
And when and the asinine thing, when people tried to ask, and not even meanly, when they just legitimately asked kindly or frankly, what are you doing? Why would you do this? Well, how about that? How come you're not doing this or that? Or why are you doing that or this? They just brushed them off. And I'm just gonna say it. We watched the Angry Joe review of Xbox, and I was completely appalled in how Joe was being talked to. The guy was being very rude, very disrespectful, and I felt like that's how he felt to all gamers, because when they had other interviews, that's exactly the same attitude the other guys had when reviewers, when more professional, I guess if you want to call them, journalists were asking certain questions or they were making their statements. They had an air of they don't care. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, right when we do a 180, right when they do a 180, and after all of this, you want to be in the future, or you're just not understanding it. This is the future. We're taking you to the future. This is the future. After repeating that for weeks now, they just take it all. They just rewind, take it all back, and we're just supposed to forget everything they said. Everything. It just didn't happen.
I'd like to think I'm usually a forgiving person, but not when disrespect goes that far. They have given me no reason to look at their console or products as if, I want to support the how they acted all last week.
Yeah, and I'm really mad. I'm legitimately upset about this. And not just, again, it's my frustration is not solely focused at Microsoft. I am upset at Sony too, because Sony, everyone keeps acting like Sony was some great wonderful white knight in shining armor doing this great deed by keeping the quote unquote status quo and whatnot. But no, they weren't. You see, the thing is, we already had these things in our current generation, in the previous generation consoles, and we already had this in our next generation consoles. Again, the Wii U exists as a physical thing. It is in the stores. You can go out and buy one. They did not implement these DRM nonsense bullcrap on it. The Wii U may not be perfect, true, but they're constantly getting better. Nintendo is constantly talking to its consumers, listening to them, reacting to how they react, and trying to improve the console as it physically exists. People had issues with the Wii U when it first came out. Why can't I have more than one game on the game? Why can't I have more than one gamepad? Nintendo later on said, okay, fine, we'll work on getting you two gamepad control, but that's the most you can get out of it. The focus on the console was for one gamepad and the Wiimotes. But they heard their consumers, and they changed it. That's why you don't announce a console the year it's coming out, because fans will have problems, and they teach you how to fix your console. Yes, it had a long patch, but it fixed some issues, and yes, it loaded long. It took a long time to load it first, but they fixed it. They're doing things that are actively fixing the Wii U. They're making the Wii U better. The
Mhm.
PS4 and the Xbox One do not exist as physical things. They are ideas. And these DRM features, quote unquote, features in these consoles were built into them. They were built with the sole purpose of DRM. They were made to make the games, quote unquote, bigger and shinier and faster, but at the cost of chaining you down like a stupid chump And people are stupidly just acting like they did such good things. Again, Sony didn't do anything new. They didn't break any ground. I don't care what
Mm-mm.
anybody says. Even if the Nintendo Wii U is not the most graphically powerful thing out there, it is the next iteration of Nintendo console. It is next generation.
Yeah,
It
that's exactly the thing.
it does not have DRM. They didn't even this wasn't even a question with Nintendo. And people act like Sony did a good job. Congratulations, Sony. You didn't say anything about DRM during your press conference, and you were smart enough to pay attention to what happened to Microsoft when they did theirs, so you just didn't mention the DRM that you put in yours during your press conference. Congratulations, you have enough sense to keep your mouth shut. However, you lied to your consumers because you said you could do this, you could trade that. Then later they retracted and said, well, we meant first party, you couldn't do this, but whatever they want to do, then that means that I'm not always allowed to do this. You
Yeah.
lied.
The night of Sony's conference, I had the impression that there was just no DRM. You know, they were making it completely DRM free, but
Right,
now it's it's up to the third parties, which doesn't really count because we're counting on the games not having DRM, not just the
right,
system.
right. You see, if they can enact DRM, how are they supposed to enact this DRM? When did they start putting this stuff on discs where it can lock itself out? Because again, they didn't tell us what kind of DRM that they were going to do. These companies themselves have not come out and spoken on what kind of DRM that they're going to unleash upon the world. They just said if they
Yeah.
want to enact DRM, whatever DRM, they never specified, which means it could be any level of DRM. You got to deal with it. Enjoy.
Yeah, that's true. One thing I love about how active Nintendo is about listening to their customers and changing things for the better is that they're doing all of that and not requiring some sort of subscription or
Yes.
constant, chaining you down in order for you to get benefits. No, they, as a company, keep just putting out the benefits.
Yeah. I mean, if there is something that goes, that's the thing. It felt with Nintendo, it's almost like if they're doing something good for you, it's good for them, which I
Yeah.
can totally dig. I mean, I have no problem this being a symbiotic relationship. It should be. I do well, you do well. You do well, I do well. That means we're both getting a benefit. It's in Nintendo's best interest to make me happy because when I'm happy, I make them happy. That is the not all of the Wii U's games are start out at $60. Some start at 50. I've seen some that start at 30 and 40. There is a range that you can go by. On the eShop, there are some games that go on sale. They have these sales where they're either half off or a little cheaper, depending on
Mhm.
depending on the developers and how much they want to put the sales on. That is nice. I bought Trine 2 because of that. It was on a $10 sale. I'm like, I got $10. Sure, I've heard of Trine 1. Why not?
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
just bought it just on a whim.
I hear that Xbox, on the other hand, no. Old games don't go on sale much
No.
on their terms, on their
Mm-hmm.
online shop.
Maybe when it's a platinum hit, but that's when the industry determines that it has reached platinum status, not Microsoft. Or maybe it's
Yeah.
Microsoft in the industry. I don't know, but it takes, at least from my recollection, about a year minimum for a game to become platinum or greatest hits or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
It's
thank you.
it's crazy.
It's ridiculous. It, it's driving me mildly crazy. I I don't really care if people like Xbox over Sony over PlayStation or PC over any console. I don't care. But I do care when you do like these things and they disrespect you like that and you just say it's okay. Like that's really what's upsetting me. So many people are like, they listen to us, but they just insulted you so badly. They ruined. They ruined the E3. It was supposed to
Yeah.
be fun. It was supposed to be exciting. It's E3 where you have two new consoles being released or and being talked about. This, well, not being released, but the information about them being released the same day. We're talking about two new consoles and what they're going to be released with. And all anyone could pay attention to was how Sony smack talked Microsoft, how Microsoft's console was way expensive, and how Microsoft wasn't answering questions.
It definitely was completely politics, and it was awful. It definitely ruined my experience for E3 this year, and I was looking forward to it so much. But this was all completely ridiculous. And the thing is, they can go back on their decision again. They really can. They can re-implement it later with some sort of excuse that, oh, well, we need it, it has to happen, whether it's because of pirates or anything. They can, the console is made for it, so they really can just go back.
I have a question.
Huh.
Why shouldn't they go back after people have bought it? Why shouldn't they?
Well, personally, I would think they shouldn't because they're the what the gamers want and their interests should matter.
Uh huh. Yeah.
But we already saw that what what we think doesn't really matter. But because of this, people are taking it as a triumph that, that the gamers matter, but they already showed that we don't.
Mm-hmm. And that was a chump's response. The answer is they should not. They should take it back. There's no reason for them not to take it back. Why? Because you bought it now. Are you really, Mr. Consumer? Are you really going to buy yourself a $500,000 console, probably upwards of $60 of another controller, plus a game that may or may not be somewhere between $60 and $70? Are you really going to take that right back to the store just because they re-implemented these policies? Oh wait, they waited about a year to turn back DRM. So now this this $500 consoles, upwards of $1,000 you may have spent, $700 to $1,000 you may have spent on games in that time. I'm sorry, not in games, but from the console and the games and all this stuff included. Maybe you got a new headset for it or something like that. All the money
More controllers.
more controllers, all the money you spent, Xbox Live that they're not going to give you money back on. You're going to just say, you know what, I'm going to stand on my principled hunches, and they re-implemented these DRM, and I'm just going to, take it back. I'm going to be, no. You're going to keep the damn thing, and then you're just going to be grumbling about it and say, I can't believe Microsoft did this to me. You deserve it. You are a fool who deserves it. Anyone who lets this stuff be, it's one thing in a relationship when this is a physical relationship, and I get how Stockholm syndrome works, and I get sometimes you may be in an abusive relationship, or you don't know what she or he is doing, and you can't get out of that, and you think you love them, and that's one thing. That's a person. This is an object. Okay? I wouldn't take this kind of BS from Nintendo. As much as I love Nintendo, if Nintendo pulls something like this, that would be it between me and them. That would just be it.
Yeah, I really agree. As much as I love Nintendo and I really do like Sony, that would be it for me too. It would break my heart,
Yeah.
but that's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. I can understand wanting more sales. It's a company after all, but you can't go that far.
It, no. I get that they're a company, but you're if you're a company, you're supposed to earn money. Okay, you're supposed to find a way to make me want it. You're not supposed to snowball me, bust me down, make me,
Mhm.
and call me a loser, a idiot, a fool. Essentially, going through the Emperor's New Clothes syndrome, trying to make me say that you made me a nice new pair of clothes when I see you've done nothing, and you want me to pay you for this? Or are you out of your mind?
People are out of their mind right now. I keep reading comments that they're like, "Oh, yay, I will consider, or I might just buy an Xbox One now." I don't get it.
I don't get it either. What? Oh my, I am. Oh my god. I felt annoyed. I legitimately felt annoyed last week when I heard how high the PS4's pre-orders jumped. Like everyone just ran out and bought a computer through PS4 just because they said that they were going to do what they were supposed to do. And now
Yeah.
this. It's bad enough that there are idiots who just, as soon as you hear one thing, you just immediately jump on it. But then you have idiots who, as soon as they hear what they want to hear, they forget everything that they heard. It's stupid. Why do this to yourself? Why? What benefit? What does Microsoft give you? Really? What do they give you? What are they willing to sacrifice for you? What are they willing to admit to doing wrong for you? What are they willing to step aside for you? What has Sony done for you?
It's crazy what people will do for entertainment.
I don't need entertainment that badly. I
Well,
I
yeah, yeah.
I can.
Smart people don't.
Well, that is true. I can write. I can watch anime, read my manga. We can write stories. Play Terra, which is a great game. You all should try Terra Online. It's free to play.
By the way,
By the way,
it's beautiful and fun. It's worth your money.
or your money. Sign the trick Terra Alarm. But, uh, I gotta laugh to keep from crying. But yeah, it's I don't need it that badly. There are options, and look, PC isn't the only option, folks. All right,
No.
I know everyone's opinion on Nintendo, and I know everyone's opinion on the Ouya and the Game Stick and every other my Android console comes out there. But uh, look, okay, though the Android consoles, they are they're trying to be neat and fun. Okay, you know the indie crowd that everyone keeps talking about. Sony is reaching for, and Microsoft got indie crowd. Well, Nintendo has indie crowd too. Okay, Ouya is built off indie crowd. You don't need to go there if you want that. I'm I get you again the PC too. That's also a viable option. But I'm just saying console wise, you don't need Microsoft and Sony that badly. I I guess it's yes. I'm sounding like I'm just Nintendo's the only good thing out there. They're not the only good thing out there, but they're the ones who have been consistently respectful to me as a consumer. I can't get mad at that. So they don't have the most hardcore looking graphics and things like that. That is not important to the feeling and experience of a game. I've said this in an hour long rant before, but I have to say it again. It's all about your experience. They provide a unique experience that you cannot get anywhere else. And to just cast them about like they're not even worth considering having, that is just stupid. I was happy last week because at least people were like, "Oh, I'll get a PlayStation 4 or a Wii U," and that was kind of nice. It's been years since there have been respectful statements from gamers about another console, and that was the most respectful one about Nintendo. Like, I would get that, or I would get this before Sony. Sad that
Because Well, before Microsoft.
Yeah, yeah. It's sad that it took that for us to reach a level of civility again, but
Yeah,
even
it
still,
was really nice to see people, actually realize that, oh, these are definitely better.
yeah, it it was you know, I know people don't like to talk about these console wars nonsense because it really is a stupid topic. Because even when the console wars were hot in the 90s, it really was a war. It was about as much of a war as roughhousing with your siblings. It was just sibling rivalry. It was just Sega taking fun jabs at Nintendo, Nintendo taking fun jabs at Sega, and during that time, we the consumer were doing well because they were trying to make they were both fighting to make the most unique experience for your money. They wanted you to get a Sega because you could only do this on Sega. They wanted you to get a Super Nintendo only because you could only do this with Super Nintendo. And those were glorious times because you have the broadest variety of games in that era. That's why, despite what Microsoft says about nobody plays old games, retro gaming is pretty hot because there are some things that you can only find in retro games.
Hmm. And nostalgia. That's
And,
always nice.
and nostalgia, that is true. That's completely legit. But there it there is a reason why a lot of games and things come back. One is because nobody has any new ideas, and and another is because they are still fun. You wouldn't play it for more than 5 minutes if it wasn't fun. That's a fact. Unless you had OCD problem or something. But you know, on the whole, if it wasn't fun and you didn't pay very much for it, you wouldn't keep playing it. There's
Yeah.
a reason why people still buy Sonic CD. There's a reason why people still buy the old Sonic games. Why people still buy the Mario games for the on the
Hmm.
Nintendo eShop
Yep.
because they're fun.
Yep. I'm showing my nephew all sorts of old games, and it's fun.
But this isn't fun. This this
Politics.
this these politics in my very sophisticated, pretty awesome toys are not fun.
Mm-mm.
What's next? Are we gonna have our action figures? Marvel and DC, are they going to tell us that we can only have these for 5 minutes, or we can only have these costumes for the characters, or something like that? You can only get the limited edition Spider-Man, but if you want to have the ultra rare edition of Batman, you have to give up this or turn that around, or you can't buy a Spider-Man and give it to your son because you bought it and he didn't, so he has to buy it again. Is that what's going to happen now?
Yeah. It is completely ridiculous, and even though they took it back, it doesn't forgive all that just awful ideas.
But the thing is, they took nothing back. They just said that they weren't going to implement it. They didn't stop it. It's there. And really, if one really pays attention to what they said, and if one really pays attention to what happened to this generation of the last generation of video games with the 360 and PS3 and Wii, um, they just because they took something out doesn't mean that they can't put it back. Just because
Mhm.
they put something in there doesn't mean that they can't take it out.
Yep, with many terms of service that has to do with digital things, I always say, we can decide to change things whenever we want.
That's another thing. Why do we have to read a terms of service and agree to a terms of service before we play our games? Why do I have to agree to your rules for a console that I bought? And why do people agree with this? Is this a good idea? It's their console. You don't have to play it. But it's my console. Okay, yes, you have the data and whatnot for it, but It's my console. I bought it. I gave you money for it. What do you mean I have to agree to your rules after I buy your money in order to play my games?
Hmm. I think it's just the age because I see it in all digital things, all websites, things you sign up for. It's
Mm-hmm.
everywhere, but it sucks. I don't remember this kind of drama whenever in PS2 days and
Mm-hmm.
everything before that. It's not needed. It wasn't needed then, it's not needed now.
It's especially not needed now, especially with the world, not just America, but the entire world in the piss poor economy that we're all in. Do you really want to stick to these stupid ideas of restrict, restrict, restrict? And the dumb and these people that call themselves gamers that are all for it, they're doing us a favor. People's are damn fools. I don't know why they would do this. I don't know what good they see from Microsoft and Sony acting like this. Again, yes, I will keep saying it. Sony too, because Sony is not nearly as squeaky clean as people like to keep acting as they are. I like them too. I have a PlayStation 3, but they started acting like complete. Well, admittedly, they were acting like complete douche nozzles before the PS3 came out. I mean, before I got the PS3. But they didn't start taking things out of the PS3 until after I got it. If they did, I probably wouldn't have purchased it. Well, I wouldn't have asked for it for Christmas. I, I'm just upset. That is that is all I feel right now. I just feel upset at
Yeah.
at gamers who just think this is good. I mean, I understand how you want to feel that this is good, or it's almost it has such a nice illusion of we won or we made a difference. You know, it has the illusion of that, but we really didn't. All that happens from here on out, if people buy this Xbox, if people buy this PlayStation 4, that they again didn't have the respect to us as consumers to let us know more about it, at least minimum a year ahead of time. So for them, in case they messed something up and had to fix it, they would have time to do that. And for us, if they were putting something in it that we didn't like, they could remove it. They didn't have that level of respect for us.
Yeah. I'm a little weary of PS4, but not nearly
She's not
convinced that no,
she's
I'm
not
not
full
convinced
grown
they're
Shady Knights.
awful. Psh.
What?
Uh, yeah, I know that they're both looking out to be similar. And I really hate that because I don't think that they need to be similar. They're not unique if they're so similar.
But, it's all about power. That's all it is. That's what happens when you only
I
focus on power.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate these console war. I don't like it. It's ridiculous. Why do people have to fight? It's all politics now, and it's annoying. Why can't we all be friends? Come on.
People in Sega time didn't have to fight with people in Nintendo. In fact, I had both consoles, but there were people in my school who had either a Sega or a Nintendo or a Super Nintendo, and we got along great. Cause all we would be talking about, yeah, we got this game. Oh, you got that game? Oh, how's it play? Oh man, it does like this. Then. Oh yeah, that sound. Oh man, that sounds cool. Yeah, blah blah blah. We used to be. It was fun. It was. I have this console. Oh, you have that console, and it was just a fun thing.
Mhm.
And now it's all about you don't have this console. Pfft, noob. This thing isn't even as powerful as that. That does this and this and this. And mine is more powerful. If you check out the architecture of this DDR3 is better than DDR5, but only if you put it in this way. But if they don't activate it, then it's this DDR whatever is not as good as that. This memory is better than that RAM, and this doesn't have enough RAM, and this has 3 operating systems. This has connecting.
Yeah.
bull crap that doesn't equal your games. It's not about if your games are fun. It's all about if your games run 60 frames per second, which you don't even really care about. The only reason you care about it is because a bunch of tech heads think that it's cool to talk about and mention in every daggum game. 60 frames per second. I'm sick of it. I hope the next Mario runs at 60 frames per second. I hope it does.
That'd be
That would
hilarious,
be
but
hilarious.
oh man.
But the thing is, Mario games don't need to run at 60 frames per second to be awesome. Neither do Zelda.
No
Metroid.
games do. If a game is
None.
truly awesome and fun, it doesn't need it. It's nice. Of
Mm-hmm.
course it's nice. It's still luxury and
Yeah.
people like pretty pixels, but what makes a nice game or a great game is the gameplay and the fun aspect.
I like fun. I miss
Yeah.
fun. I used to have it a long time ago. Then this started.
I still have fun with many good games. Many games are awful, granted. But uh it's this console stuff. It's hideous.
I think I'm tapping out of pretty much anything Sony and Microsoft related this generation. I'm done. If they can't even start off this generation with showing me base level respect, to hell with them. I mean, people figured that Sony and Microsoft were going to announce their consoles this year, but it was a common consensus of thought that the games were be coming out, the consoles were going to be coming out next year. Not because that's just how it's done, but because it's the smart way to do it. Unless you have really found a way to read your consumers' minds and you have stumbled across a gem, you don't do that. That is stupid. And I'm just done. I don't appreciate them ruining E3. E3 week was already not going great for me due to some personal issues, and then I get this for me to deal with. We were both. I wasn't really. I was happy to hear that Sony didn't make fools of themselves, only to hear that they lied to me the next day. Thank heavens I had Nintendo Direct to cheer me up, because it was like there was just no hope.
Yeah. It's not just them though. The gamers are encouraging all of this drama.
They are, kinda, but it's not just them. It's them. It's that's why Microsoft and Sony love it when gamers argue, because nobody pays attention to what they do now. That's you see, if Sony had said they were going to do the DRM thing too, consumers say that they would have gone PC, they wouldn't have. They would have just been arguing about what, well, this has DRM, but this is less intrusive DRM. But since Microsoft decided to back off first, and whatever, they decided to back off first. Now the consumers
Yeah.
are about,
Yeah.
well, this DRM is not as restrictive as that. So it's the same conversation. It's just at a lower tier of DRM that will be ramped up. I know it will be. I see it. They built both consoles with that in mind. It's kind of suspicious that they both look the same too. I mean, the PS4 looks like a slanted and small PS1 Xbox One, but yeah, they pretty much look the same.
Yeah, it's really awful. And I even saw an article that said they do it because they don't want to have anything to embarrass their customers. Like that's so stupid. The
Okay,
gamer's not going to be embarrassed of their subculture.
okay. Here's the thing. Okay, if you come to my house and I have to be embarrassed about anything in my house, get the hell out of my house. Period.
Right.
I invited you in. You're probably, knowing me, you're going to be fed. And knowing me, you're going to be fed well because I do like to cook. So, or, we're going to go out. I know the nice places to get good food. You're going to be fed. You're going to be fed well. If my Wii U, my PS4, my Xbox 720 doesn't meet with your visual approval, then get the hell out of my house and don't ever come back.
Yeah, not just that, but consoles tend to look really cool. At least last generation, I love the PS3, especially the original.
I love the
The
George
fat
Foreman
one.
3.
Yeah, and I even think the Wii looks cool and the Wii U looks great. I like things to look unique, not like a DVD player.
Yeah, we have a VCR, a DVD player, and a video game console this generation.
Yeah.
Congrats, Microsoft. Congrats, Sony. I'm pretty sure that their fans will not, leave them or forsake them. They will come back as they always do. They shouldn't, but they will. Whatever. It's what you want to do.
Yeah. So that is why we are mad.
I am just upset. I am legitimately upset.
It's honestly made me feel like I just want to take a break from it all. Which is sad because I love reading gaming news and keeping up with things and, seeing the new neat things that come out. But more than half of it is just bad drama.
This is the industry I want to go into. With these people who can't even, who take gaming way too seriously, who don't know how to have any fun other than just take snarky swipes at each other. I like a snarky swipe as much as the next person, but mostly I like fun games and stuff. And neither one of these two people know how to do that, and their fans for sure don't. And this is it. This is what I gotta look forward to for the next 8 years minimum. This.
Well, for one, you'll make it better because you're not like them. But also, times will change.
I guess.
Things fluctuate, and I hope people learn from their lessons. I know that right now they're pushing for digital, what they call the future, and digital is in. App games are really fun, and Steam is useful, or not useful, but no, that too. But they are very successful.
Yes.
Even they have their flaws too. Don't get me wrong. But everything does, but I don't think they see the bigger picture.
Yeah, I just want to say this. Digital is a part of the future. It is not the future.
Yeah.
I really wish people would get that. A lot of people keep acting like that's just where everything is going to go, because no, it's not going to. There are too many people. There are too many people who like collecting things. There are too many people who appreciate box art. There are too many people who just like putting the disc in the console, and they're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
There are too many people who like these things. It's not going to go anywhere. Digital is not the future. The future means that that's all there is. Digital is just going to be a good part of a decent portion of the future. Yep. And that's just fine. There's nothing wrong with it being a part of it, but to say that it is or it will encompass is just stupid. It's just completely stupid. And to be one of the ignorant, to embrace that as a fan of gaming is stupid, because if games become completely digital, then that means that they're going to do this. That means they don't even have to announce that the console has DRM in it. They're just going to just mess with you. just cause.
I guess. Right now, it's definitely looking grim, but I don't know. I have hopes that companies will listen. You know, Sony is a Japanese company after all. um, but yeah, really. I think things will change, but yeah, right now things are ridiculous.
The thing is, the things can't change until the people change.
That's true.
And I don't see these people changing for the better
Yeah.
anytime soon.
Gamers were right to just say, you know, screw that to the DRM stuff.
Yeah, I was
Definitely.
proud. I was proud of gamers. I felt, maybe I am wrong, because I felt the same way when gamers got really pissed at the ending of Mass Effect 3, justifiably so. And they screamed enough until BioWare had to change the ending, regardless of what they said. And they screamed, and Microsoft changed their ending because of financial reasons. But you know, we they're getting it in their head that you cannot take things lying down. So maybe there is hope. I need to see them really stick to their guns on something in order to believe it, but I
We have
guess.
time. We really do. It's just right now it sucks.
Well, yeah, this is even the beginning of the consoles of these consoles. So, yeah, all right, I guess. I'm just gonna need a minute. I'm just gonna need a. It's bad enough I have homework, and this. I look to games to cheer me up from homework, and they're not. So it's just taking a little more for my depression to kind of chill out.
I think we'll need like a week to recover at least.
Yeah.
That's how I felt after E3. I was just like, this was not fun. This is ridiculous. Yeah, there's games I saw all over the place that I'm looking forward to, but all of that in between was
Yeah.
just awful,
I,
and it ruined this year's E3 for me. But on the other hand, I do know that we have time.
yeah.
Things will happen, and we'll see how it goes.
Even though I didn't get to enjoy E3, thanks
Yeah.
a lot. But well, not much of it. I did enjoy some, but
Yeah.
grr.
Nintendo brought some awesome things to the table,
I
and they were
love
always
you.
positive and had nothing to do with this crap.
And just another personal thing, they didn't wear suits. I hate it when these developers wear suits to conferences. Why do they do that? It's games. It doesn't make sense. Stupid.
Yeah, whenever it comes a lot of business stuff, it's not so fun.
Well, it was business stuff in Nintendo. What did they do? Wore cat hat ears and paws.
And say nyan.
That's what I want from my gaming things. Everyone's been following Nintendo and everything else. Copy that, Sony and Microsoft. Be fun. Don't have these scripted, completely awkward rape jokes and stuff. Just be fun. Be funny. Be loose. Take off your suit jackets because it looks completely well. That wasn't Sony, but just take off the suits. Put clothes on. And Sony people, stop wearing suit jackets over t-shirts and while you're wearing jeans. Again, that's very stupid. Just
At
wear your.
least they look more casual, though.
It
It's
looks.
Microsoft that look like a bunch of corporate idiots that are ready to just demand your money.
Yes, but people complain about how I dress, but I would never wear a suit jacket while wearing my jeans and t-shirt. I just wouldn't do that.
I got you. I got you.
But yes, you are right. You are right. And I think we need to I need to take this moment to just go off and do something fun. Maybe play some wonderful Terra online. Brought to you by the
Yeah,
wonderful people in Mase.
it's time to go have some fun in a fun game that where the people actually care about your business.
Care. Lots of care in there.
Lots of care. Oh, I love their customer service. They're the nicest people I've ever dealt with in an MMO. Yeah, I think I need some Terra.
I wouldn't know this is the first MMO I played. But it's nice. They are nice people.
Yep.
Well, everyone, thank you all for listening to this extra episode of Gamers on Gaming, the podcast of gamers, brought to you by your host, Shady Knight, and
Lotus.
now I have to edit 2 podcasts in like, well, anyway, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you in a little bit. Bye, everybody.
Bye.